facts. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. All right. Looks like Daryl is joining us this morning. Good morning, Daryl. It is good to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dion. How are you, brother?
It's been a minute, but I had one of my PTSD nightmares last night, so
I'm sorry, brother.
little off, but I'll get there. Not as bad as the other ones, but I woke up kind of fighting and sweating a little bit, so it's all right. Been a while.
Had a rough night too, but it wasn't for that reason. So
Morning, Leisure. Good to see you.
Leisure.
Or as I now know you as Scott V. Yes, I've known Leisure for years. He told me his last name yesterday. So, Brand, good to see you.
Brand.
I forgot to grab a water. That was just melted ice. So,
You know what? I did too.
I'm going to grab a water.
Yeah, me too. I'll be right back. No, I'll stay here till you get back.
Okay.
How's everybody doing today?
All right. Your turn to get water.
Cool.
So, all right. But we're going to be in a couple of different places this morning. I think we're going to end up in the 12 by 12, though. I believe. Yeah, 12 by 12, page 129 is where we will be. Eventually. So, let's see here. So we're just going to go straight to as Bill sees it first, and then we will go to the 12 by 12, and then we'll finish up with the daily reflection. All right. Take a deep breath. I'm sorry to hear that, Brent, but Brent says I'm in pain but grateful as heck. Yeah.
You know, I can relate to that very much.
Yeah, I think a lot of people here can. My finger's been hurting for months and it's been getting real bad. I doubt that's anything compared to what you or Brent are going through. I have various things.
Pain is pain. I don't I don't do the minimized stuff, dude. It's your pain is your pain. It's like if it's bugging you, that's all that matters.
That's true.
I did get a referral to get my back done, so
yeah. Well, and I think we alcoholics tend to have, especially alcoholic women, tend to have a high tolerance to pain. I think it's just part of our nature because, you know, I mean, we go through years of hangovers.
Right.
You know, where your body hurts from head to toe for months on end, and we ignore it. Well, you know, that alcohol is a great painkiller for a little bit. So, all right. So, what we're actually talking about is the individual rights. Just don't see this free. Let us not suppose when we are under constraint, our former tyrant King Alcohol. Okay. So as Bill sees it, there's going to be the letter portion which says, though it is traditional that our fellowship may not coerce anyone, let us not suppose even for an instant that we are not under constant constraint. Indeed, we are under enormous coercion the kind that comes in bottles. Our former tyrant, King Alcohol, always stands ready again to clutch us to him. Therefore, freedom from alcohol is the great must that has to be achieved, else we go mad and die. Yeah, getting rid of the obsession to drink. Oh, I knew right where my 12 by 12 was. I didn't even have to look. Sometimes these come up weird. Will it do it? No. Sometimes it'll switch it. So face red, droopy eyes, face purple, crying face, blue, smiling. Thank you. Doesn't always work here. Doesn't always work here, but we have to work on that freedom from alcohol. And I only know of one thing in this entire universe that can get rid of it, and his name is God.
May you find him now.
May you find him now. It's exactly what the big book is about, is finding your own higher power by which you can live a new life. At the same time, we believe in individual rights in the program. It's one thing that I love about Grassroots is we might have different experiences, we have different opinions, but we always figure out what is right, what's right for the newcomer, what's right for the group, what's right for the community. Getting out of self is a great way to not drink. And Brent says, and to work on the obsessions that pop up along the way. You are not far off there. There's a lot of worldly clamors. There's a lot of money to go after. A lot of recovery places begging for money right now.
Dude.
So it's actually kind of disgusting. But,
I go on to TikTok and mess around on there, and it's like, because I tend to, talk to sober people, blah, blah, blah type. So it has an algorithm, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know how many times I open that thing up and you got this sober coach, that sober coach. And I mean, it's like, really?
I had a lady, and I kind of relented yesterday, and I decided to help her out instead of being a dick. But let me bounce this. Let's say we'll get to King Alcohol here. We got half an hour. So what she did, she rented a room at an AA conference. Or what do you think when somebody says we have the 8 poses of yoga and this is how it fits with the program? It fits with the 12 steps, and they charge. Is that against the traditions?
Yeah.
They believe it is not. They believe that it is not. So I just wanted to make sure that, because when I see tradition, and I wasn't mean about it, I'm just like, this is breaking tradition, man. It's tradition 6. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't off my rocker on that.
No, you're not off your rocker. That's like,
so, on that.
And this session of yoga will be sponsored by.
Well, that's exactly it, and that's making money off of AA.
Right.
And using the AA name, whether you're putting down AA or supporting AA, doesn't matter. If you're using the AA name, but the thing is they'll go ahead and do it, and they'll quote unquote get away with it because AA has no say on outside issues. So nobody in AA itself is not going to stop her from doing it.
I'll tell people in a public type of setting like that or whatever that I'm in recovery. I do not mention the word AA.
No. Or I'm in a 12-step group.
Yeah,
really
something of that nature without bringing AA's name into it.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff for getting people to call the hotline lately, and people have asked me, "Oh, are you here on behalf of AA?" And I tell them, "No, I'm just a concerned citizen. I'm just somebody out here that wants to help.
I'm here on behalf of you.
Yeah.
How can I help you?"
Yeah. They think I need to be represented by some kind of company or something. So it confused them when I say I'm a concerned citizen, but they don't understand that this concerned citizen has a lot of people watching him and supporting him.
How
So
old is AA now? And we
we're
still
90, we're 91 years old.
exactly, and we still haven't figured out why it's anonymous.
Nah, one day we'll figure it out. This is the way I see it is number one, you don't speak for AA, and number two, you can't, a lot of times I hear people bringing up names in meetings. Of course, that's
Talking about
we
like
stick to
celebrities.
first names, though. If we stick to first names, it still is a breaking anonymity.
You're talking about like celebrities that have self-proclaimed that they are.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Well, it's a fad, and celebrities love attention. I understand. I love being the center of attention too, so I kind of get it. But these people it's more like a narcissistic. I need. Leisure says 91 years. How many days is that?
I'd have to Google that.
Day counting yesterday.
1, 2, 3. Where was I?
It's a lot.
It's like
How many
what's
days
that?
is
What
91
is-
years?
91 years is 33,215 days.
There you go, at Leisure.
I
We
wonder
get
if
more
it's counting,
answers here.
is it counting leap years?
Hey, I'm depending on Google. So give or take 50 days. So
Right.
Good morning, Amber. Good to see you.
Amber.
All right. So the unity of Alcoholics Anonymous. We're in tradition 1 today, from the reading. Tradition 1, the unity of Alcoholics Anonymous is the most cherished quality our society has. Our lives, the lives of all to come, depend squarely upon it. We stay whole or AA dies. Without unity, the heart of AA would cease to beat. Our world arteries would no longer carry the life-giving grace of God. His gift to us would be spent aimlessly. Back again in their caves, alcoholics would reproach us and say, what a great thing AA might have been. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that AA is here for the next person. We're definitely planting trees at the moment where we will not be sitting in the shade of those trees. But the thing is there were people that came before me that planted trees that I get to sit in the shade of. So it's not like there isn't a tree. It's just somebody else's different tree. And this is what I would call pay it forward. And Alcoholics Anonymous is the ultimate pay it forward program. I believe that. The ultimate, because it's altruistic.
Very good.
I thought you were saying something.
No, Claire Joyce just showed up. I was saying hi.
Hi, Claire. Good to see you. All right. I was parched there. So, does this mean some will anxiously ask that in AA the individual doesn't count for much? Is it to be dominated by his group and swallowed up in it? And they're going to say no, of course. No, we need to hear from you. Actually, it's quite the opposite. We need to hear from you, especially in those group consciences. It's important that we understand the traditions, because then we can't get along as a group if we don't understand traditions, and why we do what we do. The theme behind tradition 1 is sacrifice, and we give up our natural desires to put in the effort to something where we can be useful, and we start to become useful members of society. But you get to think, act, and if you want to turn your hair bright yellow, you can. We don't care how you look. We don't care how violent you are. We don't care about a lot of different things. We just want you to have the same great shot at sobriety.
What am I sacrificing?
I don't know. What are you sacrificing? It's a personal thing.
I'm just saying, it's like, to me, it's not a sacrifice.
Well, it is in the sense that you're giving something up for a greater whole. That would be considered sacrifice. Time and effort, I think, are the two biggest things. Go
Right.
time, effort, money. That's what it would be, because we utilize a lot of times we utilize material things to help promote recovery. Sometimes that happens, like pamphlets, books, those types of things. So those are the three things that I can think of. Can anybody else think of anything else you sacrifice in order to bring your own opinion?
You know, that's a good one.
Yeah. Give up what you think is right for the betterment of the whole.
Be open-minded enough to consider others.
Yeah. Because I know there's been a lot of
That's a
times
big one.
where I've thought of an idea or something that might make it better. I bring it to the group and somebody brings up a good point and I'm like, yeah, that plan's not any good. And I'm able to accept that and kind of move on. But the group gave me my individual right to bring up the idea without being like, yeah, that's a stupid idea. That's not what's said. So we're allowed to have that freedom to be able to talk. Leisure says sacrifice of your ego, which is okay. Yeah. Letting go of your own bullshit. Does this mean we will certainly answer this question with a loud no? We believe there isn't a fellowship on earth which lavishes more devoted care upon its individual members. Surely there is none which more jealously guards the individual's right to think, talk, and act as he wishes. No AA can compel another to do anything. Nobody can be punished or expelled. Our 12 steps of recovery are suggested. The 12 traditions which guarantees AA's unity contain not a single don't. They repeatedly say we ought, but never you must. And so in AA, even as a sponsor, just because I'm a sponsor does not give me the right to tell people what to do, including my sponsees. It's always, it needs to come from my experience. I was just talking with a guy the other day and he's a sober coach, but he does a real good job. He does a real good job of keeping these two things separated. It's like I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and I still have those skills. I still have that information, but that's not something I bring up when I'm working with somebody in the program, because it's not my area at that point. It needs to be separated.
But that experience you can use as tools to help other people.
Yep. Lead them to the right place. Lead them to a good therapist or a good doctor. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to help us. Unfortunately, at the present moment, mental health and addictions being lumped together again, because people think they are the alpha omega, so they think they can solve every single one of your problems, which in my belief, anything short of a higher power for an alcoholic, none of that stuff is sustainable anyway. And that's my belief. So, and I talk to a lot of different kinds of people. I have a meeting with somebody today at 11. We meet every week. She doesn't believe in God, doesn't go to AA, doesn't do what we do, but she lives a happy, joyful life. And I've heard her talk, and she believes in something bigger than her. I don't think she just quite knows it yet. And that's okay too. It's not required. She's out there helping people and, doing what she does. Good afternoon, Bob Patricia. It's good to see you.
Hi, Patricia.
Yeah, let's do a little bit more. Let's do another paragraph or two. Oh, well, there's only a paragraph 2 left in this chapter. So, to many minds, all this liberty for individuals spells sheer anarchy. Every newcomer, every friend who looks at AA for the first time is greatly puzzled. They see liberty verging on license, yet they recognize at once that AA has an irresistible strength of purpose and action. How, they ask, can such a crowd of anarchists function at all? How can they possibly place their common welfare first? What in heaven's name holds them together? There's going to be a couple of reasons here. Mostly to do with your sobriety, the fact that if we do not give away this precious gift, we cannot keep it. That's one of the main reasons. If we don't pass it on, if we don't give freely what was freely given to us, if we decide to go out and start to charge for that, there will be a penalty. There will be a penalty for it. Those who look closely soon have the key to the strange paradox. And it's only a paradox because we alcoholics have the cart before the horse in every situation. To non-alcoholics, this is not a paradox. The AA member has to conform to the principles of his recovery. His life actually depends upon obedience to spiritual principles. If he deviates too far, the penalty is sure and swift. He sickens and dies. At first, he goes along because he must, but later he discovers a way of life he really wants to live. And that's where we go from that I have to do this to
What I want
to do this. Yeah. Claire Joyce says, my painful discovery of how wrong I really am most of the time. I agree, I am too. This painful experience may be of infinite value to the next alcoholic, and or alcoholic's family struggling. Just like earlier when we were talking about the person that's breaking tradition, if she would get past that, she would find something much better than $100 an hour for yoga. She would find something like peace or serenity. If she looked at her intuition, she would know that she's doing wrong. At the same time, I can make her aware of it, but to shove it down her throat and make her stop is not my job. It is not. That's because I also don't want them to leave the program. So sometimes we have to let people kind of discover that stuff themselves, because the other part to them is she did have a servant's heart. I could feel it just by the way she was writing to me, and the way she approached it was very respectful. She's got a servant's heart somewhere in there. Either that or she's just a really good salesperson. One of the two. Whoops, lost my place. Aren't we all? Every alcoholic is a salesperson, whether you think so or not, just so you know. Moreover, he finds he cannot keep this priceless gift unless he gives it away. Neither he nor anybody else can survive unless he carries the AA message. The moment this 12th step work forms a group, another discovery is made that most individuals cannot recover unless there is a group. I am one of those individuals. My life is much better because of the people in my life. Do I have to? It's kind of like money. Money doesn't make me happy, but it sure makes me happier. But I already have to be happy in order for me to be happier. So, the groups, I have to, there's some groups I don't, I'm not gonna go there. I can't do it without other people. I can't do it without other people. So my brain is still kind of in that fighting mode I had a PTSD dream last night, and it's been a while. Not as bad as usual, but I still have that fighting part. It's still kind of there. God will get rid of it here within, I don't know. He'll take care of it for me. So, realization dawns that he is but a small part of a great whole, that no personal sacrifice is too great for the preservation of the fellowship. He learns that the clamor of desires and ambitions within must be silenced whenever these things could damage the group. It becomes plain that the group must survive or the individual will not. I know for Dion, who is Mr. Promoter, right? I quite often have to refrain. I find it amazing that sometimes ideas will come up and I'm like, and I'm glad I know the traditions, or I would break them. I'd go off and start doing silly things, thinking that, oh, I got this and I gotta, we're gonna do it Dion's way and things like that, and separating. And there it is, my alcoholism separating myself from the rest of the group because it wants something. I got an idea a minute. And I must have drove my sponsor crazy in the beginning, because every time we got together, I'm like, yeah, I got another idea. And after a while, he didn't even listen to the idea. He's just like, no, Dion. And then it became not yet. And this was God answering me. And then after a while, it became yes. He's like, yes, you can start some AA meetings for me, Dion. That's kind of what it came down to, and that personal sacrifice. I sacrifice a lot to do what it is that I do. When it comes to that in-person meeting, I got all the equipment. I'm going to set it up. I'm doing this, but it is slowly being taken over by other people, and that is the joy that I'm getting. Oh, well, I want to be the cameraman this week. Okay, all right. You zoom in here. You zoom out there. You go. and here it is. Where's the camera? There, I pack it. I must pack it. Did I pack it? No, I didn't pack it yet. There it is. Doo-doo-doo. It is. All right. So at the outset, how best to live and work together as groups became the prime question. In the world about us, we saw personalities destroying whole peoples. The struggle for wealth, power, and prestige was tearing humanity apart as never before. If strong people were stalemated in the search for peace and harmony, what was to become of our erratic band of alcoholics? As we had once struggled and prayed for individual recovery, just so earnestly did we commence to quest for the principles through which AA itself might survive. On anvils of experience, the structure of our society was hammered out. And probably my favorite line from this. It reminds me that, and if I go through these traditions, you'll see things happening today that they tried back then, and they said this is how it didn't work. Like putting together that big alcoholic center. I think that's in tradition 7 when they talk about that they put together this big alcoholic center, and on this one had meetings, and this level had education, and this level handed out money, and it was confusion compounded because there was no real structure. It was outside of its lane. And our lane is to stay sober and help other alcoholics. When we start jumping on these other things, we're out of our lane, and it doesn't seem to work. So
Do you remember a place called Mr. Lucky's in Glendale, Colorado
it
Boulevard?
sounds really familiar.
It was down by the old Celebrity, what have you, just north of Mississippi. But anyway,
Okay.
it was a bar. It had 3 floors, and them fools would put like country western on one floor,
Yep.
rock and roll on the
remember
other, and we had jazz on the third. And there was, it kept Glendale busy every weekend. There's just Glendale cops. It doesn't mix. It doesn't go together well.
Exactly. It's funny. My friends and I came up with an idea like that when I was about 15. And anyway, that's a very long story, but that's a great example about how those don't mix. It's like trying to mix water and oil.
And then add alcohol.
Then
add alcohol to that.
Yeah. Well, the
Which
problem
is what Mr. Lucky's was. Is a bar.
if we can't go after recovery, then we're going to end up going for money. And it shows when an alcoholic gets into the program, they start feeling better. That instinct, that promoter instinct kicks in, and then they start going after the money. And then they'll create their own titles, which you shouldn't do. An alcoholic should not create their own title. That's like determining your own worth.
I am God.
Yeah. And like there's a friend of mine, and God, I love him, but he calls himself the peer support expert. And there's no such thing. It does not exist. I get it though.
Number one, if you're supporting, how can you be the expert? But
That's it. Am I an expert in this field? Yeah, no. Am I an AA expert? No, I'm not.
I'm an expert. I'm an expert on my own experiences,
Yeah, I have a lot of experience.
not yours.
That's it. Countless times in as many cities and hamlets, we reenacted the story of Eddie Rickenbacker and his courageous company when their plane crashed in the Pacific. Like us, they had suddenly found themselves saved from death, but still floating upon a perilous sea. How well they saw that their common welfare came first. None might be selfish of water or bread. Each needed to consider the others, and in abiding faith, they knew they must find their real strength. And this they did find, in measure to transcend all the defects of their frail craft, every test of uncertainty, pain, fear, and despair, and even the death of one. Thus, it has been with AA. By faith and by works, we have been able to build upon the lessons of an incredible experience. They live today in the 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous, which, God willing, shall sustain us in unity for so long as he may need us. And as we already know, he has sustained us for 33,215 days, which is 91 years. That's right. We're day counting. We're day counting AA. Patricia says I was a drunker expert. The misspelling just makes it funnier. All right, we're going to get back to today's daily reflection here. Then we're going to wrap up. I'm going to go to a 10 o'clock meeting here. So when drinking, I lived in spiritual, emotional, and sometimes physical confinement. I had constructed my prison with bars of self-will and self-indulgence from which I could not escape. Occasional dry spells that seemed to promise freedom would turn out to be little more than hopes of a reprieve. True escape required a willingness to follow whatever right actions we were needed to turn the lock. With that willingness and action, both the lock and the bar themselves opened for me. Continued willingness and action keep me free in a kind of extended daily probation that need never end. Yeah, our daily reprieve, and I no longer fear, hate, or anything alcohol. I am neutral. I do respect it. I got to respect it, or I'm going to go back. I got to do that. So
Yeah, I respect it. I am in that position of neutrality, but I know it's there.
Yeah, exactly. We can't go around hating on alcohol. Nobody wants, and any drinker, they just aren't going to stand for that hate, because then you're saying you hate them, and then they're not going to listen to you.
Yeah, alcohol is just alcohol.
Yeah,
like the door is just a door.
that's right. And there's only one key. It's the key of willingness.
Right.
Step 2. All right. We have a meeting today at 2:00 for anybody that's interested in that. 2:00 Mountain Standard Time. If you don't have the link, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Daryl, it was good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, brother.
I love you.
Love you, man. Bye, everybody. Be good to
South.
you.
And